What to expect from Demon Slayer Season 4, The Strongest Swordsman Revealed. The bones of the King of Pop have been rigorously tickled as he's found the person he's been looking for over a millennia in the form of Nezuko Kamado, the sun-resistant demon. However, it's almost been half a year since the dusk of Season 3, so what comes next? Will the Demon Slayer Corps defeat Muzan? Will Giyu ever become sociable? Will this channel ever reach 1K subs? Let's find out. The first order of business comes around when Tamayo informs Tanjiro through Chachamaru about her insane discovery, claiming that the man who got converted into a demon in Asakusa is back to his human state now, and this is all due to the experiments she did with Nezuko's blood and the blood of other demons Tanjiro sent along the way. Now, this detail is very important, as this small piece of information has become the fulcrum of the Corps' attack on Michael Jackson. Muzan Kibutsuchi. Once again, a Hashira meeting is put together, but there are striking differences from the one we saw in Season 1. Kagaya, who actually headed the first meeting, wasn't able to attend as his disease had progressed to such a level that it incapacitated him. As stated by his wife, Amain, who attended the meeting instead. She informs the Hashiras that Muzan's plans would have been drastically changed after the appearance of Nezuko's abilities against sun rays, so he would most probably be looking towards traveling to the US and starting the pop revolution. Okay, just kidding. That was the last Michael Jackson joke. Well, actually, Muzan would now come after Nezuko, as he would gain immortality after absorbing her. In any case, the meetings are dragged forward by Amain, who informs the Slayers that the Kasugai crows saw weird marks appear on Mitsuri and Murchiro's bodies while fighting the upper demons. But she drops in a very vital piece of information from over 500 years ago. During the Sengoku era, Amain explains that the first breath user, aka yoriichi, revealed that most of the Slayers during the Sengoku era had Demon Slayer marks appear on their bodies, which made them so powerful that the swordsmen were literally one step away from killing the Demon King. However, this change in everyone was triggered by a single person, which in this generation was none other than Kamaboko Ganpachiro. Kamado Tanjiro, who developed the mark in his fight against Gyutaro. They figured out that the heartbeat of the Hashiras reached about 200 beats per minute during the fight, along with their temperatures rising way above 102, which they would now take as a prerequisite to reach that state. All the Hashiras listened meticulously. However, Giyu seemed to be out of the ordinary and even more gloomy than he already was, which almost boiled down to a fight between him and Tsunemi. The water Hashira then proceeded to leave after insulting the other pillars, stating that he was not like them. Giyu left the estate, while the other pillars started camps for the lower-level demon slayers, as the demon incidents became scarce across all of Japan, clearly indicating the calm before the storm. However, on the contrary, Giyu's reaction was actually misunderstood by everyone except one person, Kagaya Ubuyashiki. Hence, he sent the best man to sort the issue out, as Tanjiro proves to be the actual inheritor of Naruto's Talk no Jutsu. While dealing with Giyu, Tanjiro, who's still injured from his fight during the swordsmith village, seeks out Giyu and confronts him with his puppy face. However, Giyu ends up playing the Uno reverse card on our beloved protagonist, accusing him of abandoning the water breath, thus relinquishing his spot for becoming the water Hashira, as the seat remains empty. This conversation seriously confuses Tanjiro, as he innocently tries to confirm that the seat was Giyu's to begin with. Giyu leaves, but Tanjiro wears him down with his puppy dog energy, making him spill the beans. Giyu explains that he took the final selection exam with a boy named Sabito, who was much stronger and kinder than him. This hits Tanjiro hard, as he realizes that his life has come a full circle, and Sabito was the same boy whose ghost helped him out on Mount Sagiri. Giyu continues, explaining that Sabito killed every demon on the mountain, making everyone pass the exam, even Giyu himself, who fainted after getting caught in a demon's trap. However, after he woke up from his coma a week later, he was informed that everyone passed the final selection. However, Sabito perished, mainly due to the hand demon's thick neck. Thus, Giyu considers himself to be an imposter among the ranks of the Hashiras, as he was the one who was supposed to die on Mount Fujikasan, not him. Tanjiro once again spreads empathetic warmth towards Giyu, making him realize that Sabito's sacrifice much like Rengoku's sacrifice in his case, wasn't in vain, as they both are standing here to this day, fighting for their ideals, and that's what matters. This provokes a deep thought in Giyu's head as he remembers how his elder sister protected him from the demon's attack, even though she was about to get married the very next day, which, in public opinion, made her death even more tragic. Giyu has a change of heart as he finally decides to join the Hashira training. Now, it is here that the main storyline diverges into every character having to sort of fight their individual demons inside their heads, with Shinobu skipping the whole training as her body was frail to begin with and focusing all her strength on one specific upper moon, which would be revealed later. Tanjiro goes through every other Hashira's training regime. However, he gets morally stuck during Sanemi's bouts as he witnesses Sanemi thrashing down Genya with his words, which leads to him disowning him as his brother. Genya reveals that he has been eating demons to fight the other demons, which flicks a switch in Sanemi instantly as he directly goes to incapacitate Genya and throw him out, which in turn gets Tanjiro involved as he pushes Genya out of the way and fights Sanemi, forfeiting the training altogether. He moves on to the final level of training with Gyomei Hemijima, the stone pillar and supposedly the strongest demon slayer in the Taisho era. Here, Tanjiro is joined by none other than the strongest side character in the entire anime verse, Murata, who, despite being a side character, ends up surviving the whole ideal of the Demon Slayer universe, a feat that hasn't been achieved even in the Isekai universes. But this is where the story takes a turn for the worse, and we're flushed into the beginning of the end. The Demon Slayer starts to leave Gyomei's training as it was not compulsory. Genya arrives and gives advice to Tanjiro about how to achieve the last goal in his training, but unbeknownst to the other Slayers, Muzan, although relatively quiet over the last few weeks, has been watching the movement of every single Demon Slayer with the help of Nakimi's ability to plan his next move, ultimately finding Kagaya Ubuyashiki. Meanwhile, in the mountains, Tanjiro finishes his training, and Gyomei comes in clutch to congratulate the young fellow, ultimately giving him his approval while also revealing the reason behind his initial reluctance. Gyomei reveals that before joining the Demon Slayer Corps, he was a blind priest who lived in a temple along with other orphans. After a child led a demon into the temple to save himself, he discovered his hidden strength as he pummeled the demon for a whole night, only leaving him after he disintegrated due to sunlight. However, the damage was already done as all children died except the youngest one, and Gyomei was blamed for their deaths as the demon's body was already gone, while Gyomei remained there with his bloodied fist. Thus, Gyomei, although deeply sympathetic towards kids, always has his emotional guard up around them, as he knows that children do and say anything to get out of a tough situation, which made him feel victimized when the kid named Kaiguku let the demon enter the temple to save his own life. However, this story goes on to be even more complex as, around the same time, Zenitsu receives a letter informing him that his master Jigoro had committed seppuku after one of his disciples and Zenitsu's senior betrayed the Demon Slayer Corps and joined hands with the demons. This disciple was none other than Kaigaku himself, who let the demon into Gyomei's temple in the first place. Tanjiro, after talking with Inosuke and Genya, leaves the mountain while saying goodbye to a very agitated yet calm Zenitsu, who states that Tanjiro is one of the best human beings he's ever met. However, he wants to be left alone for the time being so that he can figure out some things for himself. Tanjiro runs down the mountain only to break a practice bout between Sanemi and Giyu, which was turning a bit more violent for both of them. Tanjiro offers to treat Sanemi to ohagi, as he thought that he really liked that dish. However, this turns him even more mad as he barges out of the practice area and onto the road. But this is where Sanemi senses something amiss and immediately snatches the eye that was spying on him and the other Slayers, immediately realizing what was going on and that he needed to act fast. Meanwhile, everyone's worst nightmare comes to life as Muzan comes face to face with Ubuyashiki right in his home. This is the final turning point in the story between these two, as this would ultimately lead to it being the first and final confrontation between the heads of the two most powerful groups in the world. Ubuyashiki asks Amain to describe Muzan's appearance to him, and she describes him as a pale man in his 20s with deep red eyes and cat-like irises. Muzan lays his disappointment in front of Kagaya, as he didn't expect the family who haunted him for so many years to be reduced to decaying corpses. However, what he stated next fit perfectly into the puzzle of the Demon Slayer world, but also blew the minds of everyone. Muzan states that he and Kagaya share the same blood and are distant relatives. Kagaya is not fazed in the least as he adds even more information to the mix, stating that he already knows about the fact of his lineage and that he is the reason his family suffers from the chronic diseases that take the lives of every member even before they turn 30. Muzan was complacent with his goals of meeting and ending Kaguya, yet he still questions himself as he feels no hatred towards the man who hunted him for all these years and even gave him some deep burning scars in the form of the upper moons he killed. Kaguya irks Muzan further, revealing that the indescribable tree he aspires to come to fruition will never bear fruit, as the only thing that lasts forever are human thoughts. And the Demon Slayer core is a standing example of that theory, having survived 1,000 years even after being constantly killed and replaced. Suddenly, the crows come rushing down from all sides, guiding the Hishiros with them as the Ubuyashiki estate explodes to pieces. Suddenly, Muzan is cornered by spiked flails that emerge out of nowhere, along with the biggest surprise of them all. Suddenly, Lady Tamayo jumps out of the dust and impales Muzan with an unknown drug. Immediately following that, Gyomei jumps into the abysmal scene as well, raining his flail on Muzan and bludgeoning his head. The other Slayers arrive as well. However, before they can decapitate Muzan, a pit leading into the Infinity Castle opens up, leading everyone into the final battle that would decide the fate of the world. If you stuck around this far, I'd advise liking and subscribing as well. It works well with the algorithm, you know. In any case, see you around.